Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast, or welcome back to the podcast. I'm Allistair, just in the door from Basel, Switzerland, and super excited to do this podcast because I was at the World Badminton Championships there in Basel, also the Para World Badminton Championships, and I got to see some really cool world-class sport, the very best in the world in the disciplines. Also, I was the keynote speaker at the BWF World Coaches Conference, which was really well attended and organized. A big shout out to John Shearer and the team there. Thanks so much for having me. At the same time, I got to meet an incredibly interesting person that I have on the show today. You guys are going to enjoy this one. If you're all about champion-minded, which I know you are, all about preparation, mindset, attitude, work ethic, all these things, grit, resilience, then you're going to love my guest today, Huaiwen Xu. Huaiwen Xu was born in China. She started badminton at the age of 8. She was selected for the Chinese national team, however, was dropped after 2.5 years as she was told she was too small to play the sport. However, in true champion-minded fashion, Xu was determined that she would prove herself through her commitment and hard work. And in this interview, she talks about her persistence and resilience and determination. She wanted to compete. She didn't want to sit on the sidelines. She wanted to win and prove herself. She went on to say that other people can give up on her, but she will never give up on herself. Guys, this is why I wanted her on the podcast today. It doesn't matter what sport or what field you're in. This is one you have to listen to about grit and resilience. She reached the #1 ranking in the world. She's seen as one of the best female badminton players ever, bronze medalist world championships, and she was also the junior world #1 as well. So super happy, lucky, honored to get her on the podcast. I know you guys will enjoy this one. Please leave your comments in iTunes on the comments section or on YouTube. Thanks to all you guys who post on my social media as well, who share the show or share some quotes. I really appreciate this one. But without further ado, here's Huaiwen Xu. Huaiwen, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's obviously been an honor to meet you this week and get to hear about your story. It was actually John Shearer who first told me about it. I was super excited about meeting you because I've always been interested, obviously, about badminton, high performance, and we haven't had someone on the podcast from badminton. So, first of all, we're in Basel, Switzerland. We're at the BWF World Championships, and we had the World Coaches Conference. How have you found the week so far?
I really enjoyed it. I've attended a couple of them, and previously I was one of the speakers, and this time I'm kind of a supporting role for Yun Lei, and my role is just to interpret and try to assist her. It's quite exciting. It's a different job for me. It's quite challenging, to be honest, to translate from one language to the other. But I hope I did a good job, and apart from that, I enjoy being involved again, and I've learned quite a lot, especially from you, Allistair.
Thank you.
I found all the speakers were, really the experts from their area, and I've learned a lot apart from coaching on court.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. There was some fantastic presentations, especially what impressed me about this World Championships, because I've been to quite a few of different sports, was it's the first time I've seen para sports included with a able-bodied World Championships. What's your impression on that?
I love the idea because I met with the... That's why I'm a bit late. Well, I met with the the head coach of the national Chinese national team, and they are in charge of the Paralympic Games, and they are super excited because they've been to different para badminton championships, but this is the first time they're included, and I find it's a motivation for both sides, you know, to play even higher level because. To my point of view, because it's such an inspiration to see those disabled people still, you know, come out and compete. You know, it's really I have got so much respect. Especially yesterday we had this session with the Korean coach and demonstrating how they practice. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they give exactly the same hours and dedication that any other professional athlete would use. I mean, I've had the privilege to work with the United States tennis wheelchair team and the U.S. soccer team as well. And one of the reasons why I took it on was because I needed something that challenged me, because I'd been obviously working with able-bodied athletes, and in all honesty, it scared me to take this on because I didn't know what to do at the beginning. But the family welcomes you in well, and I would encourage anybody out there that has the chance to work with para sports. Like me, I didn't know what to do at the beginning, but they definitely guide you through it. So, but let's get into where it all started for you, where you were born, and obviously how you progressed in terms of your badminton career as well.
I was born and raised in China. I started playing badminton when I was 10. At that time, I was playing in a playground, and one of the badminton coaches came to me and asked because she obviously had observed me while I was playing on the playground, so she thought I was quite athletic. So she approached me and my parents and she asked if I would like to play badminton.
So let me come in there. Is there public badminton courts in China? Is it like something that's like we have in Florida? There's tennis courts everywhere and everybody plays, but there's is badminton accessible for kids there?
No, back then, no.
Okay.
There was, you know, in China, probably in all kinds of sports, it's either you're professional or nothing. So there's nothing. Just
No in between.
No, nothing. From one extreme to the other. Yeah. So I got chosen.
So you were 10, yeah?
Yeah, I was 10. So actually, it was quite late. But before that, because my parents were athletes too. My dad was a volleyball player and coach. My mom was basketball player and coach. So
for the national team or for?
No, just provincial team.
Provincial, okay.
So they are the inspiration to me as well. Physically I'm quite strong actually when I was little. And
well, you still look fit now, so.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, then I started from there, and then I moved from the provincial team later to the junior national team and then senior national team. That's how I got started.
Okay, so you were 10 years old. You went into a organized program with coaches. How was that experience for you?
I was actually super excited because back then I was still at school. I remember I always finished school about 4:30 and then try to get to training as quickly as possible because I really enjoy being with the other kids as well and playing badminton. I was quite competitive, so I enjoyed it. It's just I really wanted to become a professional badminton player when I was young already. Because I grew up in a sports center, I've seen all the other professional players from different sports. So I was fortunate to see that. And so
you were in an environment of sports and energy, and obviously your parents were in coaching as well. So you were destined to be an athlete in the end, weren't you?
Yeah, I want to be part of them. But however, my mom and dad were professional. They didn't really support that because they think, okay, you can be good. Back then, people just play. If you play up to 25, you're quite good already. Whereas now, all the athletes compete till 30, late 30s. So it's quite
late 30s.
Yeah,
wow.
In badminton there's some. Yeah. So my dad and mom said, well, in China, just you go become a professional badminton player. You give up school. No, we don't want you to do that. But I was really determined to do that, and I promised my dad and mom and dad. I said, okay, I will carry on, you know.
At what age was this?
I was 13.
13.
When I
and
became,
you knew you wanted to be a professional badminton player at 13.
I think I
know,
knew. You
it's
know, the thing
difficult to
is,
think back then.
yeah, because no, when you are 13,
Yeah.
you want to be a pro,
Yeah.
but you don't really know what pro is, what
Exactly.
it means to you.
The
you
vision,
know?
the dream is there, but
Because that's the dream, yeah.
but you don't know what it entails.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
Could you explain how the training was in China for junior athletes that had obviously talent, skills, they showed promise? Let's say compared to what you see in Europe or in the United States at that same age, what would the difference be?
It's very, very different, especially when now I become a coach in England and was involved in BWF program and I at that time, you know, you only train to become professional. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, you start with whether you're into, you first you try different sports and you see, okay, I'm interested in badminton, I'm interested in tennis, I'm interested in basketball. You know, later and you find, okay, she's talented, yeah, mm-hmm. and you probably can carry on. But whereas become a professional, whereas at that time, if the sports chose you, and then your goal is to become a professional. Mm-hmm. So the training is, of course, is very goal-oriented, and the training was, from my point of view now, I find it was very repetitive and it was very boring. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed it because I enjoy the competitiveness.
Yes, yeah. I even struggle saying that word. So, at what age do they start competition there? Is it are you thrown straight into competition at the age of 10, 11? Is there already rankings for 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds in China?
Back then, no. Now, yes, because badminton has been changed a lot. Globally, especially in China. Before, as I said, it's either a professional or nothing. Now there are private clubs, and you can play badminton to a certain level. But usually, kids quit when they turn 14, 15 because their study becomes the first priority. So parents normally just suggest them to stop unless they really want to become a professional. Yeah. So there was no ranking at that time.
Were you a good junior?
I was pretty good.
Okay, so you're already in that process as well. Now, there was a defining moment in your life when you decided to change countries from China to Germany. Mm. Could you explain that?
Yes, and I can now, especially now, because back then I didn't really want to talk about it because it was so painful to talk about it. I was... when I was really from 13 to 15, I was okay level, but I was not the topest because I was short and I...
What is the ideal height for a badminton player? I actually asked this question this week, like, is it tall? Is it... What is it?
It definitely, if you're taller and you have more advantages, but you do have disadvantages, you know? You can't bend. Mm-hmm. I would think 165 to 175 centimeters.
Okay, so around about...
for singles, I mean.
Yes, around about 5'5" to around about 5'10" in the other matrix. Yeah, 165 to 175, yeah.
Something like that. So it was too short and I didn't have any advantages, but I was always a hardworking player, and until I reached age of 18, which of course everyone gets stronger, mm-hmm. and then that's the time I really picked up, and I won the bronze medal at the World Championships twice, and I won the the national game is one of the important every 4 years. Like,
this was playing for China still, or
in China.
Okay.
So I thought I felt quite good, but however, I was never given any opportunities to represent the country. You know,
even with a bronze medal at World Championships.
No, because the argument is that I was too short. Nobody.
Even though you won a bronze medal.
Yeah.
So you already proved that you're. And what you must have been in the, say, top 5 players and juniors in the world if you were reaching a bronze or top 10 maybe.
Yeah, but in China you have to understand is that if you pick top 10, any of them could. Mm. At that time, back then, could, but it depends on who they're gonna choose. it's the call from the national coach, right?
So is there a lot, can I ask you this, is there a lot of players even still today in China where they're good enough to be on the world stage but they're not good enough to obviously be selected to go to that level?
I believe yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was brave enough because I was in the national team and they've never given me any opportunities. And I've kept asking myself, why am I here? I give up my family life, my social life, I give up my study. I just want to become a world champion. What's wrong with that? And then
That was your goal, world champion.
Yeah.
You had that, yeah.
Because that's why I wanted to become a professional badminton player and represent China. That was my dream. But yeah, I was never given the chance. But even I remember what the trigger point is that I came back from the national games and I won the bronze. And then my provincial team spoke to the national coach and just said, well, see, she has proved herself again and she's good enough to represent China. And would you please reconsider to take her to some events? And the response is that, okay, in January we're gonna have a important like Sudirman Thomas Uber Cup, and we're gonna have like internally we're gonna have a round robin. So probably if she become the best, and then she can be the third women's singles player. And I was very excited and trained very hard for that. But in January, I was not even included in this, internal game, this round robin. So that's probably the trigger point. I said, okay, that's enough. I just wanted to, if you don't give me any opportunities, then I have to think for myself and what I'm gonna do after my career. And I wanted to go back to university to study. But back then in China, still, when you were born, you have got a birth certificate. It's kind of record. Then that go wherever.
Just a little closer to the microphone there, yeah.
Wherever you go, this birth certificate or this kind of record is going with you. So I was the member of the provincial team, so they kept the record. All my, it's like a file there. They have the authority to give me the permission whether if I go to university, I need the stamp from them. Give me the permission to go to the university. So they didn't want to do it because they still need me to play for the provincial team and for the next national game. So I feel like I'm sacrificing myself. I really wanted to go back to university and just finish my study, but I was not given this opportunity. And then I think my head coach at that time in the provincial team, because I went back to provincial team because I spoke to the national coach and I said, well, I'm a bit injured and the training, is really hard, so I just found an excuse and I went back. So my head coach in the provincial team just agreed that, okay, I can allow you to go to other country to play the league, but if we need you to come back for the national game, please come back. So that's how they gave me the stamp and gave me the permission to go. Because without a stamp, you can't even get a passport. I don't know if you can. It's so different in America.
It is. It is different, and obviously in Europe as well. But no, carry on. Then
I contacted some clubs in Europe, and then one of the German clubs in Friedrichshafen just replied to my email and had to send because I've never competed. In the world stage, so they don't know who I am. I need to send videotapes to them, and they said, "Oh, yeah, she's pretty good." And then they sent an invitation. I got visa and I went to Germany.
But they already knew that you were a bronze medalist in the World Championships, so they knew you had some level there for sure, right?
Yeah. But for Westerners, like if you're Chinese, I think you're quite good.
Yeah. Just presume. Yep. Okay, you're good. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or if you're Russian, you're a good tennis player, a good female tennis player. Yeah, it's a given.
I just thought I'd just give up everything. Why I just wanted to prove myself. I don't see.
You wanted the opportunity.
Exactly. because of I don't know, politics, and they don't see sports perspective, they don't think I have a future. They don't give me the opportunity. Although I tried all kinds of ways to prove myself. So anyway, my mom and dad were not sure if I should go overseas because they totally lose control. I contacted the club. My dad and mom said, "You've never met them." Back in 2000, the internet is not,
No.
like now.
I remember it, yep.
It was also difficult to find clubs that they have got.
And email was pretty much a new thing back then as well.
Exactly.
So
I did everything. My English was not so good. So I just asked someone to write an email and just send it to different clubs.
Yeah.
And luckily, I'm lucky that someone just replied. My mom and dad didn't approve it, but I still want to go. Just thought I really want to try.
You were determined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I left. I landed in Munich with 2 suitcases. The manager came and just picked on me a bit late, and I was like, wow. Now in Germany, I don't know anyone. I don't speak the language. What's going on? But 5 minutes later, he turned up. So my journey just started from there.
Was there any fear of you leaving at all, or especially back then as well, 2000, where it was still very much. Now we see more. How can I put it? I don't know if the word is freedom, but Chinese athletes are now partaking in events or coaching events, etc., where maybe back in those days they wouldn't. Everything was like type of secretive. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Has that changed in a way? Have they lightened up with those type of, everything was like type of a secret of the way we train and the way we do things? Obviously you remember the success of the Chinese swimmers back in, was it 2000 or 2004 as well, where they had a lot of success and secrets, etc. It's
certainly there is not much exchange, between in badminton sports. Even if I wanted to bring some of my players to China to practice, and we need to report to the national training center. But now they are they are more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's just the formality that you have to report it to them. Nowadays, I think because especially when the younger generation they become. They are taking over, and then they are much more relaxed and much more open-minded. Because yesterday I spoke to Yun Lei. I've been away from China for 19 years. I spoke to her, and she told me, especially the younger generation, they've changed a lot. Mm-hmm. They're open to the world. They wanted to communicate, have the dialogue with overseas people or with BWF. It's just, the Chinese players are perceived to be quite arrogant. It's not because they are really arrogant people. You met Yun Lei. She's very kind. Just
one
very
of the nicest
genuine.
persons.
But it's just the language. The language that's the biggest barrier.
I know that feeling because when back in the 90s I started traveling by myself to France and Germany and Holland, where my language was English. That feeling of sitting at a table or going out with a team and you're the only person that doesn't understand their mother tongue, and they either think you're angry or upset or unsociable or whatever, but it's just simply that you don't understand what they're saying, you know what I mean? And you can only smile so long to everybody, but you don't know what they're saying. It's a very awkward situation. I remember that as well. But it definitely speed tracked me to learn that language quicker so I could join in with the conversation. Let's move on. You're coaching now, especially here we are at the World Championships where the best athletes are out there. The difference between when you played and now, is there any differences? Are the athletes fitter? Do they work harder? Or would you say it's pretty much as it was?
It's definitely more developed. It's I retired in 2009. And at that time, in women's singles especially, it's dominated by China. So I'm representing Germany, but I still grew up in China. So like top 10 is all Chinese players. It's, now you see the competition. Badminton becomes really globalized because in women's singles, there's there are players from different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really happy to see that.
Which is good for the game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And also players were back then quite fit, but technical part is still probably a bit more than physical part, or maybe half. But now I do think sometimes I was thinking to myself, if I was still playing, what ranking would I get? I don't know, because it's just different game.
Yeah.
It's been changed. It's tactical, technical, and speed and strength, but it's combined everything. You can't you can't miss anything. You can't miss anything. Yeah.
At the height of your career, could you describe us what a typical day looked like for you in terms of training?
Usually in Germany, because the other players are still going to university, so we start training at 8 o'clock, 8 to 10. That's the first session.
On court?
Yeah, on court.
Yeah.
And then after that it's physio, and then just lunch and take a break. At 5 o'clock, 5 to 7, we have another session. So it could be either physical or technical. But I had 2 times weights, strength and conditioning, and 2 times just for the core. So the rest is it's 1 time swimming, and then the rest is all on court. That's, if it's a normal
day.
week, if we are not away or between the tournaments.
Going into competition, did you ever get nervous before competing?
Very seldom. Very seldom. I only experienced that once. I forgot where it was. I experienced that only once. I was shaking, but soon after I'm fine. I am focusing a lot on my tactics. So even friends coming into the hall, I don't see them. So I don't know. I'm not really.
You would just get in the zone? Were you able just to get in that zone? Was there anything that you had, a routine or a ritual before you went on court that got you into that zone? Because this is an area where a lot of athletes listen to this podcast from all sports from around the world. And we talk about what I call prepper readiness, that hour or half an hour before you go on court or before you go on track or before you swim, whatever it may be, of getting yourself into that zone. What was your routine or ritual, if you had one?
I usually analyze the game a lot. That helps me to calm down. Because
your game? Analyze your game? Or
my and my opponents. I always write down. I've had a notebook I carried wherever I go. It's quite thick. Every time, even I play against them, because there are 3 tournaments in a row, I still read them.
About your opponents, notes on your opponents.
Yeah, and
so
also.
Would you scout your opponents?
Yeah.
Would you watch them, or would you have the coaches doing it?
No, because we have got videos. Because one day they always take the video, and it can be the old one I play against her. I always write it down. What happened? Opponent, their style will not change. It's always the same, right? Maybe slightly. But each game is I have, because their weakness is most of the time it's always in this year or 2 it's always the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when you get to that level of professional, of course, their strengths will always be their strengths and their weaknesses will always be their weaknesses. It's how much better can they get their weakness type of thing, but it'll always be their weakness.
Same thing with my strong point and weakness, it's so similar. But every match is different because the situation is different, because sometimes you're leading. What's going on? What happened? I write it down a lot. In this moment, what I was thinking, what happened? What's going on my mind? I write a lot. Seriously, that helps me.
So you took notes on their tactics, where their weaknesses, but you also took notes on your mental state of every game?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I find that helps me a lot, because last time, say for example, I got nervous or I got, something went on, or it's because of the wind. I couldn't control. But the next time I know, if it's in this situation, similar situation, I hope this doesn't happen again.
So you were a student. You were learning the whole time. You were like taking on the job of a coach, of all these things about mindset and tactics and everything like that.
Yeah,
So,
just
which I'll be honest with you, why I'm fascinated with it is because I find today's athlete, today's junior, relies on the coach too much to give them that information. I mean, how often, maybe you can concur with me here, but how often have I seen a junior at a tennis tournament, at a golf tournament, whatever it may be, with a notebook scouting an opponent? Hardly ever today, but I used to see it back in my day. Do you notice that at all at badminton as well, as that kids are not as, like you took responsibility for your own coaching as well?
yeah, I tell you what changed me. I was so not independent. I was very shy, you know.
Have a nice evening.
Coming to Europe, I totally changed my life. In China, my coach was organizing everything. I couldn't play without my coach standing behind me. Back then, there was no coaching allowed. So as you yesterday said, that there's always coaching. Someone put the hands next to ear, or wear a hat, or
The coach, yeah, touch the shoulder means play to the backhand, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe your career was too flat or too short. Yeah, it's always a way. I totally agree. That's how I grew up. And that only creates this, non-independent player. You need to know. I think the coaches need to give you, you need to analyze first, and then they will help you later. Sometimes really, even at late stage, I was competing. I do sometimes. I look at because I work with my coach. We're kind of like friends.
Mm-hmm.
See, I turn around and look at him. He knows what I want. Is that I need some comfort, or I need technical or tactical advice. He knows, he just know it. So when I came to Europe, I had to organize everything by myself. That was something new to me. I have to organize my meal. I have to organize my train ticket, my flight. I have to I need to hire a new flat, buy new furniture. This is all new to me. I have to cook. Tell you, everyone said, everyone find it funny.
You had to grow up very quickly.
Exactly. I've never cooked in China, because you go to the canteen, everything is organized.
All prepared, yeah.
I put the egg in the in the microwave, wrapped with the foil.
Yeah,
How can you imagine? Oh God,
boy.
it's like a bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
That shut the kitchen door, and I was so scared. So that's how I grew up.
The neighbors thought there was something going on in your apartment there.
Yeah. So then I told myself I have to be independent. I have to take care of myself. I don't want to die in the kitchen.
Yeah, by an egg bomb. Exactly. What a way to go. Right? Let's talk about coaching. For you, in your opinion, what makes a good coach? And second of all, where do coaches go wrong? Where do they fail?
I do think, of course, the professional level and how much you understand the sport, especially we're talking about badminton. I do think if you really coach at a high level, I think interpersonal skill is really, really important. Mm-hmm. To me, I think, because when I work as the national coach of the Netherlands, I'm not questioning about my ability, on-court coaching, but I sometimes struggle, because I've got players, they've got children, mm-hmm. They have got, some of them are working, some of them are studying, and they are juggling between work and training and family, and it's very difficult for me to track what they do off court, and I don't want them to get injured, right? But you don't know, you can control the intensity on court, mm-hmm. But what they do off court
outside, yeah.
And so I found it's very challenging, and also everyone is different. You need to tailor it when you talk to them. Also on court coaching, some of them want so much information, and some of them don't want you to. We prepare before the match, and during the match they don't need much.
Do you find today in coaching, not just in badminton, but there's an overload of information? If the coach feels he or she needs to always say something to fill the gap. Do you find that sometimes in badminton as well?
Yeah.
When instead they can just let the player play.
Calm down. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also for me as well is I used to, in my early part of my coaching career, before the player went on court or before they went out to swim or whatever it was, you feel you need to put in that last pep talk or that last whatever. And in fact, where I learned that it's actually that 10 minutes before a match or event, that actually should be the athlete's time. Because they're getting into that zone. They actually don't want to listen to any advice after that. Would you agree with that?
I agree to a degree. Some players are different, as I said. Some of them demand more information. You need to repeat, so they feel comfortable. They feel
You're
secure.
assured. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, you also mentioned in your speech that you need to know that person better. I work on a relationship. I build up a relationship. Whatever I say, they believe in me because, okay, for me it's a little easier because I had this, I had the success. When I walk into the hall, I have got, I become a national coach and everyone is looking at you like that. Okay, she was a world-class player. She was world #1, But I do think everyone is different. You need to build up a relationship. And then, especially with the women, because now coaching is not only on court, you need to talk about nutrition, you need to work on the psychology part, and they need to open. Sometimes they need to be honest with you. They need to open.
How do you get to that stage though? Because some especially today's generation is a little bit more less sociable, but more digitally sociable. So they've got a lot of friends on Facebook and Instagram and so on and so forth. But a lot of coaches with feedback say it's harder to speak to this generation. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. It is difficult, but slowly, I think you need to give them room. And some people need time. Yeah, but they will understand that you are helping them. You try to assist them and to achieve their goals. I find it's difficult. Yeah, I'm still learning. It's hard. Yeah.
Now, I'm obviously going to be respectful of your time, so one or two more questions, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time because I know it's a busy week, busy weekend, a lot of former players you're seeing and coaches and so on and so forth here in Basel. But for young athletes out there, what advice would you give them, not just for badminton, but athletes in any sport, let's say, kids of 13, 14, 15 that want to go on to that next level? What advice would you share with them?
I would think if you have a dream, you go for it. Even someone gives up on you, just don't give up yourself. That's my story, because China gave up on me. Then I found a place where they appreciate my talent. There's always a way. If you have a dream, just go for it.
Yeah, let nothing get in the way. That's fantastic advice. And actually, I think that's where we're going to stop this interview. It's been fantastic. I could ask you another 3 hours of questions, but I know you don't have the time. But I think that's powerful advice. Final last question. In your opinion, what does it take to be champion-minded? It can be one word or a sentence. Those
persistence.
Words.
I think persistence and resilience.
Perfect.
That's the word. Yeah, that's the word. Because yesterday Yunlei also mentioned about that.
Yes.
She has never taken one day off unless she's sick. She started when she was 5. She retired when she was 30.
And she never took one day off.
Yeah, not like intentionally.
Yeah, that's insane.
I know.
And
but
she was double world champion, right?
Mixed doubles as well.
Mixed doubles as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the dedication.
That's incredible. Huaiwen, thank you so much for coming on to the Champion Minded podcast. I know that our listeners are going to really enjoy this one, and best of luck with obviously coaching and everything else.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your help. Actually, your speech gave me a lot of inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, there you have it. Huaiwen Xu on the Champion Minded podcast. I'm sure you enjoyed this one as much as I did. Really inspiring. Talk about mental strength and talk about a desire to succeed. I love interviewing these type of people on the podcast. I get to learn as much as you do, hopefully as well, and be inspired. So anyway, guys, remember that this podcast is on iTunes and on YouTube. Connect with me on social media on Instagram, Be Champion Minded, on Facebook, Allistair McCall page, and on Twitter at Allistair McCall. So guys, until next time, remember you were made for greatness. Now go do the work. And as always, stay champion minded.